Hello, friends. I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is warming up. It's better than it was yesterday. And speaking of yesterday, I'm a complete dingus. We talked. Chris had suggested doing more like around the area, like outside of this shop content, and I'm all on board for that. Just got to figure out how to do it better. And then I had to go. We went to my daughter's softball match last night, and I totally didn't take a camera with me. And I really wish I would have, because it illustrates a few things. Chris left this nice long comment. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he talks about living out in the cuts or middle of nowhere as long as there's high-speed internet, so I need it for work. Yeah, I'm with you. I would totally love to live out in the middle of nowhere. Love to have toys like dirt bikes, ATVs, side-by-sides. And that's kind of where I was last night, right? And I really, really, really wish I'd have taken a camera with me, because we played this team that's about an hour and a half west of me, and there's nothing an hour and a half west of me. And there's nothing for another hour and a half west of that, right? It's literally the middle of nowhere, West Virginia. It was a little town called Sisters. Well, we were east of Sistersville, but Tyler County, West Virginia, if you want to look it up, there's nothing there. It's one of these places that exists. Once upon a time there was a coal boom. There's all these little coal towns around here, or even like lumber towns. West Virginia got like clear cut in the 1800s. If you go look at our natural history, this state got clear cut, and it caused massive flooding and erosion issues. So there's no old growth in West Virginia. There might be like 2 trees or whatever, but there's no old growth forests. Everything here is like 200 years old. And that's why the Mon National Forest was created as a conservatory, because we decimated the state with timber. So there's nothing in this state. The entire state has a population of less than 1 million. And there's huge national parks, and natural parks. Where there's no industry, right? And so there's all dotting the state as all these little communities that started because coal or forestry, and when those industries left, the people just stayed. They just decided, this is my home, I'm not leaving it, I'm going to stay here, even though there's nothing. Where we were at last night was one of those kind of places. And it's really interesting to drive into those places, because it's almost like, that traditional shot down like the saloon, in front of the saloon and the sheriff's office in an old western, where there's just like 6 buildings and that's the whole town. That feels very, very, very much like that to drive into these old places, because that's really all it is, like 10 buildings, and that's it. And last night, this place we were at had this massive, like, beautiful marble courthouse, and it was like, what used to go on here that they were able to afford something like that? And I really wish I had my camera for that, as well as coming back around to what I really want to say. We get to this school. It's called Tyler Consolidated, and it is gorgeous. They had this like multi-million-dollar sports complex, this amazing, we're talking probably 5 or 6 football fields worth of artificial turf, from the softball field, which was all artificial turf. Even the infield was artificial. They had this huge, like the outer wall of the softball field was rolling. They could open up the entire field to be just one giant field, all the way down to a football stadium with seating. Just this amazingly gorgeous facility, all brand new, super well maintained. And as a person who drives into these places, I've always had this, like Chris said, living out in the middle of nowhere. As long as you have strong internet, I'd be good, and I could do that. And my whole life going fishing in these types of places, I always wonder, you'd drive out and you would see a lot of dilapidated dwelling, a lot of just really run down, worn out people who don't really have a reliable source of income. And then every now and then you'll see this beautiful house with brand new cars parked in the driveway, and big old campers, and it's like, what do you do for a living? You're an hour and a half from anything. There's nothing. There is no industry. What do you do? And then you to see the same thing, to see this school, is absolutely gorgeous school with an absolutely amazing sports complex, and it's just like, how did this happen? Because where I'm at, seventh largest city in my town or in my state, we have the worst sports facilities ever. We have basically nothing. The softball field that we play at is a county park, and the field is on the side of a hill. Like the away team's bench, if you turned around and stepped, you would fall down a cliff, basically. I mean, it's a hill, but you can't walk up and down the hill easily. It's a super steep hill. And it's a wooden, just a piece of wood screwed to a couple of stumps. It's not even a bench. Like, it's embarrassing, honestly. What we have in this town is embarrassing for our sports opportunities for our kids. Now, the park that's over here that I've told you about before is a baseball park, and the high school girls play softball over here on one of the C-ball fields, whatever's the same size as a softball field. But we, for whatever reason, have to play at this, the sandlot, basically, just a crappy field, and it's so weird. And it seems like it's not just this one place. It's not just the place we went last night. It's also lots of other places that we go to play when it's a smaller town, when it's a tiny little community that doesn't have industry anymore. Granted, their sports facilities will be phenomenal, and it blows my mind. I don't know if it's because they get extra funding because of their ruralness, and that might be it. I mean, there's definitely some rural development type stuff going on, but it's sad that we in a place where my kid's middle school, which is one of, I think, 5 middle schools in this area, probably has a larger class size than the high school that we were at. We have 3 high schools. They have one, and it's a consolidated, which probably means there's other kids coming from other counties because their county doesn't have enough kids to have a high school. And it's just like, man, where did they get the money? I would love to know. It's mind-boggling. And it's gorgeous, and I don't. This isn't coming from a place of jealousy. I mean, I'm not jealous that they have it. I'm upset that we don't, right? Because it makes us look terrible, right? We're just like this, quote, city that has very little for kids here to do. I mean, we do have athletic teams at our schools. We do have some county-run athletics, but there's nothing there's no place that inspires like those kind of sports facilities that I've been to. It's interesting. But it is fun to think about, like, living out there. Like, when I say there's nothing out there, you're at least an hour from anywhere. When I left civilization, the last town that I drove through before getting off of a major road, it was another hour before I found a gas station. And it wasn't even, it was like a privately owned, has a couple bags of chips kind of gas station. Like, you're in the middle of nowhere out there. That's always fun. I enjoy those kind of drives. I probably wouldn't have gone, it was also like 40. I probably wouldn't have gone to the game. They took a bus for the kids. Other than the fact that I've never been out that way before, so I was like, I'm going to go drive it just because I enjoy driving and I want to see the area. And it's always nice to see those kinds of places. Should have taken the camera. I don't know why I didn't. It would have been good. But hopefully, we'll figure this thing out, and I'll figure out how to get more interesting content coming. I am very excited about that idea. I just got to figure out how to plug it into whatever, without making it so complex that I don't want to do this anymore. But then again, we've been doing these for 7 years, and I don't feel burdened by it at all. In fact, I feel relieved doing this every day. So maybe turning it up a couple of notches and adding some extra work isn't going to cripple me and make me not want to do it. I would hesitate to guess that it won't impact me at all, and I'll be excited about it. So just got to figure out what to film. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. and I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know sounds smart is querulous. It is an adjective meaning describes a person who continually whines and complains about practically everything. Their querulous manner with the waiter made them unpleasant and embarrassing dinner companions. Querulous. Querulous. So, querulous. The pronunciation guide says querulous, but querulous, would that, like you wanting to quarrel?